The story begins with our main protagonist, called Misumi Makoto, who is transported to another world to become a hero by the god, called Tsukuyomi. The other world's goddess deems Makoto too ugly and banishes him to a wasteland world, infested with non-humans and monsters, only giving him the ability to understand the languages. Tsukuyomi intervenes and explains to him that in Japan, Makoto's abilities were restricted by modern life, but in the new world, he is quite powerful and free to do whatever he pleases. After wandering the wasteland for 3 days, Makoto saves a young orc, called Emma, from a two-headed wolf monster which he defeats, discovering how strong he now is. Emma explains she was supposed to be a sacrifice to the god, called Shen, to dispel the fog around her village so crops can grow. She takes him to her village where Makoto begins to learn magic. Soon after, Makoto decides to destroy Shen, a giant dragon who uses the fog to create illusions. Shen traps Makoto inside an illusion of a happy memory, but after examining his other memories he becomes intrigued by his memories of Japan. Makoto breaks the illusion and is surprised when Shen offers to make a contract with him to become his familiar. Makoto agrees and they form the contract. Shen then transforms into a busty samurai girl, looking forward to what Makoto will do in the future. Makoto discovers Shen is obsessed with his memories of historical dramas and samurai. She teleports Makoto to the alternate dimension where she normally lives but finds it now resembles Japan's countryside. Makoto goes on to inform the orcs that he defeated Shen. Shen offers for the orcs to live in her dimension as it is now ideal for farming, and continues watching Makoto's memories but demands they figure out how to build a television so she can store his memories. Makoto decides to discover more about his parents, whom Tsukuyomi told him were born in this world before moving to Japan. Shen appears with an injured dwarf, explaining their dimension is being attacked by a spider, called Black Disaster, that is cursed with eternal hunger and consumes everything. Makoto manages to completely obliterate the spider but collapses as it regenerates. Shen tries to intervene, but the spider suddenly declares that the extreme violence has satisfied its masochistic hunger, and she is determined to stay with Makoto forever. Shen suggests that the spider should also form a contract with Makoto to gain a human form, and she agrees, with Shen performing the ritual despite Makoto being unconscious. Makoto awakens and finds he has a new, similarly busty female servant who makes him slightly nervous. The dwarf is revealed to be called Baron, an elder dwarf capable of crafting artifacts. Baron also moves his village into Shen's dimension. Shen and the spider request personal names, so Makoto renames Shen Tomo after Tomo Gozen, and names the spider Mio. While he was unconscious, Makoto discovers Tomo and Mio went recruiting and his village is now populated by orcs, dwarves, mist lizards, and alk spiders. Makoto returns to the normal world and finds a human village, but they attack him. Tomo explains that Makoto's magical aura is so strong that the humans probably mistook him for a demon lord. Makoto spends months learning the human language and has the dwarves craft items to suppress his aura. Entering the human village posing as merchants, they register at an adventurer's guild. Tomo and Mio break records by being 4 times as powerful as the next strongest adventurer, while Makoto, due to his suppressed aura, ranks level 1, which is weaker than a child. Tomo learns that a dragon she knew, called Lancer, has been killed by an adventurer called Sophia Bulga. Makoto notices the price of commodities is unusually high and that people have begun following them. Tomo prepares to foil a night attack on their wagon. While buying food, Makoto and Mio are approached by a young girl. The girl, called Rinon, reveals her sister called Toa has disappeared. Tomo confronts the thieves but kills 3 by accident and captures the 4th. Rinon discovers Toa and Makoto found out from the thief's memories that their group is holding her captive, and sends Mio and Tomo to save her. Makoto is concerned for Toa because she resembles a girl, called Hisakawa, who he knew in Japan. Mio and Tomo locate Toa and her captor, called Mills Ace, the current strongest adventurer. Rinon sneaks away and tells the thieves Makoto's wagon was full of expensive fruit but he has already sold it. The thieves insist she steals Makoto's gold to pay Toa's debts. Mills, who is revealed to be the thieves' secret leader, reveals a demon lord recently approached the city and had a bounty placed on its head, so he wants Mio and Tomo to help hunt it, not realizing the demon lord was actually Makoto. Rinon decides she can't steal from Makoto after he was so nice to her. Mio and Tomo defeat Mills and his thieves, and destroy part of the city, competing to see who defeated the most enemies. Rinon reunites with Toa, who is identical to Hisakawa apart from her hair color. Makoto praises Mio and Tomo for rescuing Toa, but then violently blasts them back to the wasteland to repent for foolishly destroying the entire human city. Tomo alters everyone's memories so the world believes a monster horde destroyed Zetsuya. As Zetsuya's guild was destroyed, Makoto must re-register in Saige, the next closest town. Makoto tricks Tomo into training alone in the wilderness while he travels to Tsukimichi with other adventurers. Mio and Makoto kill many monsters which Toa harvests for valuable parts, including rare ruby eye ants. Re-registering in Tsukimichi, Makoto celebrates with the other adventurers, Louisa the elven archer, Hazel the human alchemist, and Ranina the dwarf priest knight. Makoto decides to sell the ruby eyes to the Rembrandt Trading Company, but is warned by Toa that Rembrandt has a bad reputation. Returning to his village, Emma reports on their progress. The elk are settling in the mountains, the dwarves have begun constructing buildings, and the mist lizards clear the farmland while the orcs have begun constructing Makoto a castle. Makoto begins to worry as Tomo has been gone a long time. Makoto is given a merchant's outfit by the dwarves to further suppress his aura, but his magic is too powerful and destroys the outfit. Makoto discovers that magical ingredients grown in the demi-plane are more potent than normal. Makoto takes the ruby eye to Rembrandt and finds the manager is quite difficult to deal with. The manager, called Patrick Rembrandt, is dismissive until he sees the ruby eyes and apologizes. He happily reveals that the eyes make ambrosia, a cure for his wife and daughters who had been cursed by a witch. Makoto goes to register as a merchant and passes the written exam easily as it is basic middle school mathematics. The second test is to gather 4 dangerous items, but he takes advantage of a rule saying he can substitute items of equal value and substitutes the ruby ants. Makoto returns to the demi-plane where he plans to set up a hidden portal to trick traveling merchants into thinking the demi-plane is a hidden city, in which they can trade for demi-plane items and return home, creating a demand for demi-plane products. Locating Tomo with Mio, Makoto realizes Mio has become addicted to his memories of anime and children's cartoons. Tomo and Mio are confused when Makoto chooses to sleep alone rather than pick one of them to make love, so they decide that they must come up with a seduction plan. Hazel agrees to Makoto's request to help brew the ambrosia. An adventurer watches Makoto and decides to gather as many adventurers as he can to stop whatever Patrick is doing with Makoto. Patrick secretly has the witch doctor who cursed his family killed. Meanwhile, Hazel brews the ambrosia. Makoto is able to restrain Patrick's wife, called Lisa, who has become a monster, and in turn Patrick successfully administers the ambrosia. Using this method they also cure Patrick's daughters. Makoto returns to Tomo and Mio but they are attacked by the adventurer, called Lime Latte, and his numerous allies. After defeating all 200 enemies, Lime claims he only wanted a sleeping curse put on Lisa and her daughters as revenge for Patrick preventing adventurers who displeased him from finding further work, many of whom later died on quests too dangerous for them to handle, and has no idea why the witch doctor actually cursed them into monsters. Lime apologizes to Patrick, who decides to let him live, and Lime retires from adventuring. Tomo, who had seen in Lime's memories that he sends his wages to the orphanage where he grew up, gives him a katana forged by the dwarves and hires him to spy for her. Meanwhile, despite his gratitude to Makoto, Patrick considers what to do about Makoto starting a competing trading company. Returning to the demi-plane, Emma informs Makoto that yet another problem has arisen. The warriors in Makoto's village are depressed after training and Makoto learns it is his fault, as during training he completely overwhelms them to the point they lose their self-confidence. He also realizes the various species don't train with each other, so he arranges weekly competitions inspiring them to strengthen themselves and each other. Makoto, Mio, and Tomo re-register as adventurers and are immediately asked to train an adventurer to replace Lime Latte. Makoto chooses Toa and asks Tomo to train her, though Tomo is troubled as she knows Toa resembles the girl from Japan and worries Makoto misses his former life. Tomo puts Toa and her team through a brutal training regime, and then tests their new abilities by ordering them to defeat a nest of 100 ape monsters, proving them the strongest adventuring team. Makoto decides to collect ambrosia flowers, the flowers eaten by the ruby ants that make their eyes valuable. He also decides to rent shop space from Patrick, who realizes Makoto wants to rent, as buying would bring him to the attention of the Tsukimichi kingdom, who would ask him to spy on Patrick, which Makoto does not want to do. Patrick agrees to arrange a shop space for Makoto in a neutral city not allied to any kingdom. The village throws a party to celebrate Makoto opening his trading company. Akaine reveals they have located ambrosia flowers in the outside world but decided not to harvest any as they are protected by elves. Neo and Tomo sense Makoto dying repeatedly during archery training. Tomo instructs Makoto to clear his mind and to focus on the target, but he unintentionally merges with the environment and dies for a split second, which feels to Tomo and Mio like he has committed suicide. This has caused his mana to increase to god level. If it continues, the goddess who banished him to the wasteland will see him as a rival and try to kill him. Makoto returns to the human world and is approached by an adult worker, so he is dragged away by the furious Mio and Tomo. They declare they are tired of waiting for him to grow up and will make love with him immediately. Makoto panics and flees through a portal, The dwarves forge more powerful mana-suppressing equipment. Mio apologizes for her and Tomo's behavior, so Makoto invites her to help negotiate with the elves. Other adventurers also appear to steal the flower, one of whom is the adult worker, and causes the elves to attack immediately. Makoto teleports the adventurers to the demi-plane and then makes peace with the elves, called Aqua and Eris. Makoto meets a man, called Nilgestori, and other elders. Nilgestori's son, called Adono, is angry the barrier protecting the forest is weakening. Makoto meets Aqua and Eris's master, called Mondo, a powerful warrior. Mio suspects Mondo is possessed and overhears a telepathic conversation between Adono and an unknown person about demons. Later, a spirit frees itself from Mondo's body and drains the life from Adono, killing him for associating with demons. Makoto identifies it as a lich and captures it. Tomo reveals she was the dragon who created the barrier at Nilgestori's request many years ago. The lich explains he accidentally became a lich while trying to become a Grant, which is a human that can freely travel between alternate worlds like a god. Tomo reveals he has it the wrong way around. Grants aren't humans who could travel. They are normal humans who accidentally traveled to alternate worlds, and so earn the title of Grant. Realizing he has wasted his entire life on an impossible goal, the lich happily accepts Tomo's suggestion of forming a contract with Makoto and teaching him about magic. The adventurers decide to escape the demi-plane. Forming a contract returns the lich from a skeleton to a young and attractive man. A magical explosion occurs in the village, causing Tomo to collapse. Makoto and Lich are able to heal the injured. Makoto realizes the force of the explosion had opened the portal to the outside world. Examining the memory fragments of the adult worker, Makoto sees that she and her comrades attempted to steal magical items, and when guards intervened, one of the rings full of Makoto's magic exploded, killing Tomo's child fragment and an orc. Makoto follows and coldly kills the adult worker in revenge. After the funerals, Makoto learns from Lich, now named Shiki, he was able to see the adult worker's memories, because memory viewing is one of Tomo's powers, a sign they trust each other implicitly, though this makes Mio jealous. Makoto orders walls to be constructed, so that any adventurers who visit the demi-plane to trade are kept separate from the village itself. Makoto visits Patrick, who has arranged Makoto's shop space in the neutral town of Rotsgard Academy. Makoto hopes to visit the academy to learn more about the world, the goddess, and humans. As he may be gone a considerable time, he takes only Shiki with him and gives Mio and Tomo some more memories as gifts. As they prepare to teleport, the goddess suddenly locates Makoto and tampers with his teleportation, sending him to a distant battlefield where two demon warriors attack him and sever two of his fingers. The two are revealed to be Sophia Bulger and Mitsurugi, the strongest adventurer in the world, and the superior dragon she became famous for supposedly killing. They explain they have joined the demon army to destroy humanity. Makoto removes all his mana-suppressing equipment, overwhelming Mitsurugi with his magic and shattering Sophia's legendary sword. Makoto manages to teleport away, leaving Mitsurugi and Sophia alive, who swears revenge. Patrick receives word of the army's destruction by a powerful mage, but doesn't realize it was Makoto. Shiki believes the goddess used Makoto to destroy the army and may be watching them. Tomo reveals she created another fragment, named Kamo, using Makoto's mana from a discarded ring. And Mio is furious when Kamo calls Makoto Papa. Makoto finally opens a shop, which is an instant success, and learns after he teleported away, the demon and human armies did massive damage to each other, and that two other goddesses summoned heroes to take part in the battle. The village throws a feast to celebrate Makoto's shop, and he decides his future looks bright. But the feast is interrupted by another fight between Mio and Tomo, causing Makoto to change his mind, realizing that his immediate future is quite frustrating.
This anime ends here. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification button so you won't miss our latest videos, and let us know what you think of the anime in the comment below.